Welcome back, Foam friends. We have news, we have updates after the beta that happened about 2 weeks ago. First thing that we have is some messages from the development team. A lot of this, truthfully, is some PR speak, but there is some good nuggets of information in there. So the first statement we'll go through from producer Kosuke Okatani. There will be updates after the release of the full game. Yes, if you needed confirmation that there are going to be updates, there will be updates. Additionally, they mentioned that they're going to be releasing more information before the game comes out. Most games nowadays, they have like a reveal season or a spoiler season. All the card games and Splatoon and stuff that I played. It'll be like a month or a month and a half before the game gets released. We're probably going to be in a bit of a dry spell when it comes to news over the next few months. Could be anywhere between 3 months to maybe 6 or 7 months, going into like March or April potentially. I will try to bridge that gap with analysis of some of the best games that I had during the open beta. I'm almost finished with my SOA guide, my impressions, how I think those characters, like what their role will be, how strong they were, and some tips that I had from playing all 8 of the characters throughout the beta. So I'm going to do everything in my power to make this wait maybe not as bad as it might feel. We probably get a little bit more information from director Chikara Saito. They're working on improvements to the matchmaking problems that were during the beta. Truthfully, any sort of open beta that happens, player experience from the general population and general audience. It's also a marketing tool, and on top of all of that, it's also a time for the developers to stress test and do testing, load testing on the network servers. A lot of times they do internal testing beforehand, but you're not going to get the same kind of quality of data that you're going to get from, tens to hundreds of thousands to potentially millions of players. I don't know exactly how many people played the Foamstars beta, but however many players there were that took, participated in all of it, you get people, in the same city, different parts of a country, different parts of the world. There's a lot of use cases that are really hard to test and really get really good data. Anytime that there's a beta, stress test to be expected, problems to be expected. It was like Friday evening my time and Saturday evening my time was like the 2 periods where I had a lot of matchmaking errors and disconnects before the match, during the match. But outside of that, things weren't too bad for me, but I would imagine that's probably the spike, during the weekend, people getting off of work, people, enjoying themselves on a Saturday night, a spike in players at that time that probably really put a stress and strain on the servers and on the network itself. So again, all this to be par for the course. I wouldn't put too much stock in problems during the beta being a problem on the release, but good to see that they're mentioning it and that they're going to work on it. The more interesting thing for me, I'm very excited that they mentioned gyro aiming specifically. Gyro aim was something that I'm just happy it's in the game, truthfully. They didn't mention it at all during any of their kind of reveal streams, any of their promotional talk. They didn't really talk about it at all. So I'm actually a little bit surprised that they even mentioned that they're going to be fixing it. But, that means that they're listening to our feedback. And I know that a lot of people had problems with the gyro. During my review, I talked about it. When it works, I think it works really well, but there were definitely moments where things were like desynced or something was happening on the code side of the game. I expect them to be able to fix most, if not all, of those issues. I also was able to try out gyro on the Modern Warfare 3 beta that's currently live, just to have another game to test, just to make sure it wasn't the console itself that had those gyro problems. And everything on the Modern Warfare side that I played, the gyro seemed fine. So I think once the Foamstars development team kind of fixes all of those little gyro aiming issues, then we should be good to go. So really cool to see them point that out specifically. I don't know what the other various aspects are, but I'm sure as they work on them, they'll probably give us a little bit more information. But very cool listening to our feedback, working on updates. A lot of the game, usually during open betas, they're not able to make large changes to the game overall, but they might make some fine tuning in terms of character balance because we're so far away from the beta. but or so far from the beta to the actual release of the game, they might have more time. Sometimes people have betas like a month before the game comes out, and like at that point they don't have time to really make any changes. It really is just that stress testing and it being a marketing tool to get people excited for the game. So with there being more time, they might be able to make some more changes. But again, really excited that they're fixing gyro aiming. Expected that they're going to address the matchmaking problems. That was something that during the beta they addressed with some tweets beforehand. So really cool stuff, and excited to see how they land on all of those changes. The Foamstars account also tweeted a infographic about the most played characters during the beta. Surprise, surprise. Soa, Penny, Tonix, top 3. Soa, face of the game. Very fun character to play. Penny, Tonix. I enjoyed all of them. Honestly, I didn't really have any characters I really disliked, but it makes sense that these characters were the most popular because they are kind of the 3 characters in the game that have like the most standard main weapon, translating like coming from other shooters into this game. Like those kind of were the cleanest transition into Foamstars, so it doesn't surprise me they're the most popular. If I had to guess, probably Agito would be 4th based off of my own experiences in my games. All of them have that kind of normal shooter weapon. You can fight from a distance, but they also fight well up close, and a lot of their kits do a lot of damage. Relatively straightforward to use, but pack a punch and do quite a bit of damage. So it doesn't surprise me, but really cool to see this information from the Foamstars team, and very pretty infographic to have on top of it. They also had an even more of a fluff tweet, but again, I love all of the little metrics and data. Give me more, especially when we're going to be in a little bit of a dry spell when it comes to content. So anything that they have, I will definitely be covering here. They talked about the total amount of foam sprayed during the open beta could fill 1.3 million Olympic swimming pools. I'm surprised they used Olympic swimming pools as a metric because they're like way bigger than you would expect. They probably could have chosen something else to get into the billions and trillions amount, but Olympic swimming pools are massive. They're 2.5 million liters of water to fill an Olympic pool. So quite a bit of foam. All these are really fun. The Japanese Foamstars account, they had their own infographic, which, as best as I can translate, effectively amounts to 232 trillion. I'm gonna assume that it's like the equivalent of 232 trillion washes, like the soap used in that many showers or baths or whatever the case is. So again, fun metrics as we try to enjoy ourselves before we get more Foamstars. So I'm interested from you all. How was your experiences during the beta? Did you use gyro? They didn't really talk about it at all, but specifically addressing it, there had to have been more people than I anticipated using it. I have a Splatoon background, so I will only be using the gyro aim, and I recommend anyone try it at least. It doesn't work for everyone, but especially when this game doesn't have auto aim, just using the sticks is going to be very difficult when it comes to like fine tuning and having precise aim. So definitely would recommend the gyro aiming. The PS5 controller is just wonderful when it comes to all of that. How are y'all feeling about Foamstars right now? We have some time to talk before we get some more information. So I am very excited. I'll be covering everything and try to ease the wait for this game. Until next time, thank you so much.